Hey there, everyone. I'm Storm Team 8 meteorologist Ashley Baylor in the News 8 Now Stream Center. It's been quite a day where we have been tracking some downpours over the past few hours. And even before that, we had a flood watch in effect for the western half of the state because what we're worried about is these downpours that can be slow movers and thus lead to the possibility of localized flooding. So let's take a look at our radar right now, where we do have a flash flood warning that is in effect for Hartford County. So let's zoom into that, but notice just over the state line, that yellow box, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on that because it looks like it's going to hold its energy as it moves into Fairfield County. And in the meantime, this is what we're worried about, is this flash flood warning across Hartford County. So all these areas inside this dark red box here. We've already had quite a bit of rainfall fall in Canton and also in Avon. We're still picking up on a downpour over Burlington and Avon. Windsor's also picking up on some heavy rain. As we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see right along Route 44 is where, if we did have any flooding, that's where I would potentially expect some issues, just because that's where some of the heaviest rain has been falling. Now, when there's a flash flood warning in effect, now it does mean that flooding is either going on or it is imminent based on how much rain has fallen or how much rain could potentially fall over the next hour to 2 hours or so. So we were looking at rainfall rates between 1 to even 3 inches per hour on top of the rain that had already fallen. So we are worried about some localized flooding in areas that have poor drainage, areas that may be prone to flooding when we get heavy rain events. That could also include some underpasses or some small creeks and streams. So if you see water rising, make sure you move to higher ground. Right now, we're still looking at that heavy rain from the Collinsville section over towards Avon. You can see East Windsor, South Windsor, even into downtown Windsor, we're seeing some heavy rain. But we're also picking up on some heavy rain around Plymouth, Waterbury, Wolcott, stretching over towards Southington. So right along this I-84 corridor from Waterbury, I would say into Southington, almost into Meriden, that's going to be a very tough ride because, of course, this rain comes down, reduces visibility out on the roads, causes ponding and puddling. And we're also picking up on some heavy rain around Prospect, Cheshire, Naugatuck, over towards Beacon Falls, and, of course, in Monroe, Stevenson, all picking up on some heavy rain. And we also have some more heavy rain that is moving into Danbury, New Fairfield, Brookfield. And these areas have already picked up on heavy rain so far. So really, again, the big issue is not only the rain that just keeps dumping on areas, with another storm moving in, but just with the fact they're not moving very fast. So they kind of have the time to drop a lot of water. So this flood watch remains in effect for Hartford, Litchfield, Fairfield, and most of New Haven County through midnight. So again, we're going to watch out for the possibility of some localized flooding. If you live in a spot where a flash flood warning goes in effect, like we're seeing in Hartford, that means you definitely need to keep an eye on what's going on around you. Look again for rising water, and definitely if you come across a street that is flooded, do not drive through it. You just don't know how deep that water is, or even if the road underneath it gets washed out. Now, once we get past the rain issue, we have the heat issue. A heat advisory will be in effect for Hartford, Tolland, and Windham County starting Tuesday. It's expected to run through Thursday, but I'd even argue it could probably run through Friday. Here's a look in Hartford right now. Lots of clouds here, obviously, some downpours nearby. It's not as wet in Long Wharf. Temperatures are right around 85 degrees. I say that just because we're not dealing with any heavy rain, but it is sweaty outside with that humidity. You can see that rain cooled air in Waterbury, where it is 79 degrees. We're at 78 in Willimantic, 75 in New London. It's 83 degrees in Bridgeport. But no matter where you are, it feels uncomfortable because of this humidity. I mean, in Waterbury, you've got the dew point and the temperature that match, so 100% humidity there. These dew points in the low to mid 70s, not a comfortable feeling. Feels downright tropical outside. Along the shoreline, there is a bit of an onshore breeze. Those winds coming up from the south, anywhere from 6 to about 13 miles per hour. So here's a look at our hour by hour, where obviously the downpours are going to be a little more filled in than what this is depicting. But it does show most of the action is going to be from Hartford to Litchfield to Fairfield into parts of New Haven County. It does stay pretty consistent with that. As we go through the overnight hours, we'll have mainly cloudy skies. There's still going to be a few passing showers. Temperatures will only drop into the low 70s. So tomorrow could be a bit of a damp start to the day, as we could still see a few spotty showers. Might get some breaks of sunshine, but then only to have more pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So I do think tomorrow's shaping up to be somewhat similar to today, in the sense that we could just, be dealing with some rain here and there, but I don't think it's going to be as heavy tomorrow. Now, as we go into Wednesday, looks like things will at least temporarily quiet down. So cloudy and muggy tonight, a few showers. Temperatures will drop into the lower 70s. Tomorrow we'll call it partly sunny with just a few passing thunder showers and highs in the mid to upper 80s. Here's a look at your 8-day shoreline forecast, where I do think we'll escape Wednesday fairly dry. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s again, although we could be in the low 90s farther inland, which is why we have that heat advisory in effect. Thursday, we're looking at a few thunder showers there. Could see some afternoon thunder showers on Friday, but Fridays will be courtesy of a cold front that will come through and finally knock temperatures and the humidity back going into the upcoming weekend. So as you can see, Wednesday starts a heat wave for inland areas and extends through Friday. So that's why I argue the heat advisory could probably run through Friday. It most likely will. But looking ahead to the weekend, Saturday and Sunday look fantastic. Temperatures will come down a little bit. The humidity is going to come down to more of a tolerable level. I don't know if I'd call it refreshing, but it will certainly be far more comfortable, far more tolerable. And then we get into next week and we may have a chance of showers and thunderstorms again. But right now we're just worried about the very slow moving downpours that are going to be crossing our state. I'm going to be watching that severe thunderstorm warning that is just over the state line. What I don't like about that is the way it's kind of bowing out. Because when we see it kind of bow out, kind of looks like this, looks like a bow, if you will. When that happens, that's sometimes indicative that the leading edge of it could have some strong winds associated with it. So then we'd be looking at a situation where we're getting downpours and possibly some strong wind gusts as well. So in turn, that could lead to some more issues other than flooding. That could lead to some wind damage issues, tree, or even power line. All right, so I'm going to go keep an eye on that. I will keep you updated, not only on air, but of course online at WTNH.com and also on our social media pages. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Take care.